This is your daily market review for Thursday, March 11th, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at XP Realty, aka the Trading Agent, your daily market review, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Hopefully you're doing well. Felt like kind of a little mini bounce, turnaround Tuesday potentiality. However, I think a lot of us who are watching this know that the reality is that it's probably not going to make any decisive moves until the CPI data, PPI data come in this week, which again, kind of a chop day, not surprised. I mean, I'm expecting the data to come in showing inflation is slowing quickly. That's just what we've noticed based on the data. Now, how does the market react? That's a tough question to know. So again, if you've been short, you probably need to layer out. As we talked about, the put positioning is insane. Never seen it this high. People are betting against the market. You're also seeing, again, what I think is the rumor mill that the Feds will somehow cut next week. You have a triple witching OPEX. Again, it's very tentative. Not to say that we can't go lower in time. I just wouldn't be sitting here pressing shorts by any means. I'd be looking for entries and names that you feel comfortable with at levels that are holding up. If it's making lower lows and it's not holding, you got to be careful. Again, that's just kind of how it is. Now, names that have been holding, they look pretty good, seem to be holding up pretty well, doing whatever. And again, if you're shorting and it's making lower lows and continue, hey, trade it. Just make sure you manage it as you get into, like, again, with the VIX up in the upper 20s near term, again, it seems very obvious that we will get the bounce. So please be careful. If you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. If you need some help, use the Calendly link. Let's chat for 30 minutes. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, and you don't use me, oh my God, you get 2 agents for the price of 1. Let me refer you out. It's the same service that Zillow does and all these other brokerages. But again, I can help you, and you get 2 agents for the price of 1. If you're looking for help within the markets, again, I got you here. You're looking to buy, you're looking to trade, looking to invest. Let's talk. Again, like, subscribe, and notification bell on YouTube and X, posting trades and ideas. Again, I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. You guys are amazing. If you want to donate, hit the thanks button. Just let me know how I can help. Again, always here. Love to do the helping thing. Again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and the goal is to turn profits into properties and passive income. Again, check out the website, tradingagent.com. Lots of resources, lots of fun. All right, so we know the CME watch tool. We know that there's no cut expected, but don't be surprised when you hear the rumors. Again, this is basically Vegas style odds, not showing anything, but keep an eye on this, okay? Just keep an eye on it. Bitcoin, we talked about, needs to hold here in these lower levels. This is tough. When you're in between trading zones, you're really just at the mercy of the levels that can come or the news. At this point, if you want to buy Bitcoin, go right ahead. I feel like it's safer to buy it around 72,000. Watch what happens when we get in the low 90s. Again, I'm not going to say I'm neutral on it because, again, I don't like to play in between major zones. There's really not a lot here. So be careful. Oils we talked about. Again, a lot of people think that oil potentially could go lower. Again, I think it's already been priced in. We just went from 80, almost 81 down to 65. Right? Even if Saudis increase production, I think the SPR refilled. I think the demand is real going into Memorial Day. Again, economic stuff a month from now can look very different. Just be careful out there. Natural gas seems to be holding up really well. I'm not too keen on buying it up here, but would love to see it pull back. That's all I got on it. Again, I'd love to see it in the 2s and 3s, but we might not happen. You got to be careful. Can't assume anything. The good old the pillar, right? Worth a watch. Dollar. I was just looking at it for brain fart. My man Jay. Again, this is why we talk about. Again, I like commodities. I like what's going on behind the scenes potentially because, again, we talk about the dollar having to peak. It looks like it has. Doesn't mean it can't counterbalance here, but it looks right. It looks right. So if you got questions again about the dollar, again, it feels right. I don't even know what I mean. I can't overthink it. Going into the CPI, PPI data, we'll see what happens. TLT, again, we talked about it chopping around until you get the CPI data. We said, all right, watch what happens in front of the jobs. If it pulls back, watch where it pulls back. We fill the gap and chopping. Again, you need to hold the 120-day. If we drop down, I'd be watching for some traps around 89.50. Worth a watch. VIX, again, seems to be, I don't know, chopping around. 2-day range, this is where it gets really nice. When you get multi-day ranges, 2-day ranges, when you get them, if you have them, it's great. Keep an eye on it. Because again, for to be more bearish, you need to see the VIX clear 2950. Again, think of it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's how it is. VIVIX, we talk about the VIVIX peaking first. Man, it definitely blew out this morning. Look where it closed. I was watching it going, okay, well, I guess we could get more bearish. And like, boom, and then it comes and closes right back at the lows. I'm like, is this a little bull trap? Near term, again, that's what I'd be on the right, like watching out for. Just it feels like that's a little bit of a bull trap to close right back inside of it. We'll see. SPY up and down all day. Again, we're in the oversold position. You have to be careful. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't go lower. Again, when I was at the top saying I thought a recession's coming, I thought there was bear action coming. Yeah. The only thing is that, again, as someone who's traded many, I feel like bear markets, short, correcting markets, doing this 20 plus years, the more oversold we get, the more likely you're going to bounce. Just be careful. Again, the risk reward is the same as the upside. It's not now to the downside. I don't think near term it makes sense. Same thing with the QQQ. Doji today on high volume. Keep an eye on that. Again, we filled some gaps. We talked about that. Hit the 0.618 to a T, essentially. Again, I'm not saying we can't go lower, but I would say near term I'd be watching for the bounces. Probably the 200-day, maybe up to 495, 500 near term. Keep an eye on it. IWM, which again you would think would be getting pounded today, had a doji, was up today. 2-day range. Keep an eye on that. You see this? Again, things that seem to at least lead to chop and bounce. It feels like it's coming. DIA high, DIA low. DIA, again, down at the trend line. Worth a watch, a blue zone. Keep an eye on it. Gold. So we talked about the dollar getting whacked. Okay, here we go. Can gold break out? Now, again, seasonality is not that great coming up in the fourth quarter, but it doesn't mean we can't make a run here. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Silver is the key, in my opinion. I want to see silver get away from the 29.30 level. Keep an eye on it because it looks like it could. We talked about how the miners, to confirm it, we need to see some breaking out. Okay, if they're staging and they're holding up against the highs, again, we call it high and tight is bullish. GDX, same kind of thing. Are these little like cup and handles? We'll see. You need to really get over 52 to confirm it. AEM, another one that we've been watching. Again, I think this is the strongest of the strong. Made new highs, wick back, but keep an eye on it. AG, which was up 10% today, guys. Telling you something's going on. And a lot of people who involved in the channel, back and forth, please, again, if you see this stuff, leave a comment below. I appreciate a lot of support. Even the donations, hearts, comments, whatever. It all helps. I appreciate you guys. Keep an eye on this stuff because, again, it feels like silver might be trying to go. It might be trying to go. Keep an eye on it. So here we go. Newmont, chop it around. Keep an eye on it. Pass, same kind of thing. Keep an eye on it. We're chopping around at these ranges, so keep an eye on it. Got to keep an eye on some of this stuff. So let's get into tech. Taiwan Semi. 2-day range here. Again, some of this tech is starting to look like it's going to chop or bounce. Micron, same kind of thing. 2-day range, not making lower lows. At the range lows, looking due to bounce. AMD, same thing. Kind of. Doji, new lows. This thing is just absolutely throttled. I was watching NVDA. Look at this, guys. We talked about the 0.618. There you go. Keep an eye on it. Again, not saying that we're going to new all-time highs, but these things look like they're due to bounce at the channel lows. SMCI, here's another one, right? Looking to bounce. Holding 100-day. Seeing a lot of bouncy feeling potential coming. Intel, long week. Not saying that it can't go lower, but near term, backside of the trend line, keep an eye on it. AVGO, here's one, right? We've talked about them holding the 200-day. Again, I think in time it will go lower because of their contracts with with Apple. But their earnings were good. Keep an eye on it. Again, it looks like it's building a base, and same thing with SMH. This was down at one point. What was it down? 10 points. Closed up. Flat. Again, another potential bounce scenario. Adobe after hours has earnings. It's chopping around. I don't think it's come out with earnings yet. Let me double down and double check. No, I don't think they've come out yet. I will double check this before we close up this thing. But again, watching this area, I mean, its reaction to bad news or good news will say a lot. Apple, we talked about the 200-day at some point was going to get tested. Look at this. Now you even retest the range lows. This one's tough because this gap could be a novice gap trap, or this could be a professional gap and we're about to go lower. Again, keep an eye on it. I personally, again, if you shorted the highs, you're feeling good. We talked about managing the trade. Congrats. I just don't know if I can. The hardest part is saying for sure. Again, when you have the options expiration, a huge amount of put interest, and you have the tariffs getting priced in, you just got to be careful. No one knows anything for sure. Amazon got the bounce, chopping around, making higher lows today. Worth a watch. 200-day clearly resistance. Meta starting to look like it might want to bounce here in the low 600, 500. So again, when you zoom out, you can see all these zones used to be important. Oops. Keep an eye on it. CRM. We talked about the double top. It's going to get smoked. Here you are. You're back into some support areas. And that gap is just a little ominous. I'm not a big fan of the gaps because they usually lead to chop at worst and bounce. Again, gaps can be exhaustive. Guggenheim, here you go. If you want to trade this one, I mean, this one makes sense right in this area. Keep an eye on it. Mr. Softy, they do well when the dollar gets cooked. 2-day range. Sorry, I had some spicy food. It is hitting me in my sinuses. Keep an eye on this one. Again, I don't believe in big tech. I've talked about this. I think it all rolls into commodities in time, but doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get bounced along the way. NDAQ talked about the future of volume on exchanges is not with the Nasdaq. People get mad when I say this. Look at the action. Here you go. Keep it simple. Stupid. MicroStrategy, right? Another one. Not gonna sit here and play games. 200-day said watch it. Chop. This thing is known and notorious for chopping. It's easy for a reference. Keep it simple, stupid. It looks like a good buy there. I mean, or worse, trading it. Netflix looked like it had, again, oversold, getting that bounce. All these names look very similar. Not all, but they all look like, again, in tech world, inside days. Pan W said wait for the 200-day. Here you are. You might get the channel lows. Still seems to be holding up pretty well. Tesla, really want to see the gap fill. And what do we get? We got the gap fill. A lot of people, I don't think, were really expecting it today. It's like, there it is. Apologize. I knew it, but didn't draw it. And then what'd you get? We talked about the volume action. Now, again, I'm not saying here go crazy on this, but I think it is a tradable bottom. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, if you want to short the TSLQ, that's another one. Insight, again, looking for games in this one, watching this. I think it gets bought out at some point, but I would not chase highs. HIMS, we talked about the mid to low 30s was the spot to play a bounce. We'll see what happens here. Again, I don't know if I trust the stock at all, but we'll see. Palantir, 100-day looks very likely now, holding around here. Again, we'll see. A lot of people love these stocks, and so they're going to come back into them. Baba, potentially. Again, chopping around. High and tight. I mean, I wouldn't short this unless you have a reference, because right now, high and tight could be bullish. We'll see. Coin broke the channel, broke the trend line inside day. Keep an eye on it. Not going to go crazy here with this one. Filled some gaps. Worth a watch. I mean, again, here I'll draw it. The areas matter. Lines matter. Y'all see what I'm talking about? There we go. So keep an eye on it. Again, I mean, your guess is good as mine near term. Long term, long term, again, I do expect this stuff to go lower, but it doesn't mean it necessarily can't, like, bounce. Again, it's so hard. People think only in a trend you go one direction the whole way. It's like, no. McDonald's, this is not ideal for them. Watching the 20-day, you break out and give it all back. It doesn't look that bullish when you do that. Right? Keep an eye on it. DKNG, again, I think this is oversold due to bounce. Airbnb, same kind of thing. A lot of these names look very similar, as we talked about. Airbnb, look at this, back down to the range of lows. Yep. Costco, this one got beaten on earnings. It seems to be destined either for this trend line, which it hit, or the 200-day. And the 200-day, I don't know. Again, you have to be there waiting for the bounce. You have to expect it. Now, right here, we'll see. Doji, confusing a little bit. I know. Starbucks, we talked about shorting up here, getting no freaking pullback or no bounce. It is what it is. Wanted to short it, didn't get it. Keep an eye on it. Again, we'll just watch it through the day-to-day. FedEx making new lows here. However, you're not really breaking range lows from past levels. Just watch these low 240s. Caterpillar, again, this one looks interesting to me because it feels like a head and shoulders bottom, but we got to see what happens on the right shoulder because, again, you have a right shoulder around 335, 336. Keep an eye on the deer. These names were ripping, and now they're chopping. Okay, not surprised. Nucor, I mean, these names got beaten yesterday, right? Now we're holding ranges. Again, it feels like there's bottoms in these names. It's just a matter of when, not if when you're going to bounce. Big X chopping around looks good. Vale, we said watch what happens here. Again, I would love for these things to get slaughtered back to the lows, but I don't know if that'll happen or not. I've seen this before. When money rotates, think about all the trillions of dollars that hides in tech. If it starts looking for a home in the market and it starts looking at materials, this is what you're going to see is these names hold up. Hopefully this makes sense. Arrow. Again, I like Arrow down here. Makes sense. CCJ seems to be holding the 40 level. Keep it simple, stupid. CF, we talked about the ag names. Do the bounce after getting crushed. I mean, they feel like they could be at the bottoms. Like Mosaic definitely feels like it's at the bottom. On a days like today, I mean, look at the last couple of days. Like, look over the last week and a half. This thing's gone nowhere but up off the lows. NTR, same kind of thing. It looks pretty good. Now, it doesn't mean that near term they can't pull back, but worth a watch. AA, again, I love aluminum. Love it, love it, love it. Back on pullbacks, holding some zones, worth a watch. Again, XLF. A lot of people are like, oh, you idiot, you're shorting. I'm like, dude, watch this up here. Kapow. Looks good. Now, I mean, we broke this trend line. You really have to hold, I guess, 47, and there's a gap here at 46.79. Keep an eye on it. Again, people are getting nuts when I'm like, dude, I'm fine with holding JP Morgan puts. Started taking some profit yesterday. Gonna let the rest ride. We'll see what happens here. You're welcome. Again, I was toast for a little while, and now we're cooking. Keep an eye on it. Morgan Stanley, chopping, 200-day break. I mean, a lot of these names, this is what gets so hard is you don't know when the market's going to capitulate. Is there more down? Maybe. Watching banks. Again, I mean, it's a sector I trust the least. 200-day carry. We talked about this one making lower highs a couple weeks ago and then making lower lows. They don't look that great. XBI is another one that we watch, right, for risk on. This one seems to be chopping around, not making new lows. Because, again, junior bios, risk on. Jets, Benny and the Jets. Again, oversold near term. Doesn't mean it can't come back down. But, again, if you shorted the highs, you're feeling pretty good. Housing closed, not great. But, again, we're not making new lows. This is where it gets a little confusing. Sometimes that's just how it is. Solar, TAN, keep an eye on this one, right? Chopping around. Again, I'm not really a fan of any of these other names. Just seeing if there's any anomalies in E and PH and Sedge. Not really. Again, I like for solar, we talked about it here in the 130 plus area. Especially for a bounce. Again, I'm not saying it has to go to the moon, but for a bounce. Oil, again, I like oil going into Memorial Day. It makes sense. UNG, not surprised, pulling back some. It's on fire. XOP, this has been, to me, the easiest trade. Buy down here, chop around. Again, I'm not saying it can't retest, but again, if you bought it at 21 and change, the gush, you're feeling pretty good as it holds up, chops around. CVE, again, saw this today, was up 40 cents. I'm like, okay, feeling pretty good. Not saying that these names can't chop around a little bit, but again, gasoline names, not making new lows, right? Chopping around. Valero, same kind of thing. Y'all see it. BP, we talked about this one at buying it around 30 and change. Looks pretty good. Hits the 200-day, backs off. ExxonMobil, which has been holding up pretty damn well. Okay. Again, I mean, it is what it is. Worth a watch. Occidental, down $1 today. Okay. Again, I mean, this is the thing. If you're snagging this in the 44 to 45 level, it makes sense. It stops. EQT, nice rally today. Look at this one, right? Again, things that you don't, I mean, it feels like money is rotating. And last but not least, because again, I think we'll be a natural gas exporter, is Flex LNG. Keep an eye on this stuff. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. I know the markets can be confusing. That's why you're not betting on certainty. You're trying to manage risk. That is the key here. Let me know how I can help. Talk to you guys and gals soon. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.